We can refuse to think certain thoughts. Look how often you have refused to think a positive thought about yourself. Well, you can also refuse to think a negative thought about yourself, too. It seems to me that everyone on this planet that I know or have worked with is suffering from self-hatred and guilt to one degree or another. The more self-hatred and guilt we have, the less our life works. We find we have an inability to speak up for ourselves, and we are always trying to please others. Or we may be angry and explosive all the time.
That your past is important because it has brought you to where you are. But as important as your past is, as it relates to your present, it is not nearly as important as the way you see your future. You see, ladies and gentlemen, the way you see your future determines your thinking today. Your thinking today determines your performance today, and your performance today determines your future.
Thoughts lead to the manifestation of things and events. Thoughts create conditions. Thoughts create things and conditions. They cannot just magically manifest themselves. Thought comes first. Thoughts create our state of existence and the quality of our experience here on earth, ultimately.
If you create a problem about every little fluctuation that happens, then you become a failure in your life. If you were a wave surfer, you've seen people surfing on the waves. What is his dream? He would like to have a tsunami. The dream in a surfer's mind is a tsunami, 100-foot tall wave, riding it. That would be the dream. If you know how to ride it, even the tsunami is a wonderful thing.
No one knows enough to be a pessimist about anything. And that each and every one of us, when we close our mind to what is possible for us or what is possible for humanity, closes off the genius that resides and lives in each and every one of us. Having an open mind doesn't necessarily mean finding fault with all of the things that you've been taught by others. It means opening yourself up to the potentiality and the possibility that anything and everything is possible.
See, the end result has already happened in our mind. We're created beings. We're God's highest form of creation. We can create in our consciousness the kind of person we want to be, and then be that person. We must translate vision into being. So we don't just visualize it, we be it.
Your actions condition your mind as much as your recurring thoughts condition your mind. So be a person of good, positive thinking. Be a person of good, positive action. And suddenly one day you will wake up and you're like, I just feel amazing. I feel extraordinary. I feel positive. And that's what it feels like to live the charged life.
The seat of the will is the conscious and the subconscious mind. That's where the will lives. It lives in the heart. Your heart is your subconscious mind, and your subconscious mind is the seat of control for your life. Now you got two minds, in case you don't know. You got a conscious mind and a subconscious mind. Sub means below. So you got a mind that is always conscious, but then you got a mind beneath that that is not always conscious, but it's deeper and more important than your conscious mind. And your conscious mind feeds your subconscious mind information. And the more your conscious mind hears something, it feeds it to the subconscious mind. That is why repetition is dangerous. Repetition constantly goes to your conscious mind. But the more your conscious mind hears something, it begins to deposit it, or can I use the technical term, it downloads it to your subconscious mind. Now, you are safe as long as something is in your conscious mind. You're still safe. Because you can forget what's in your conscious mind. But the key is to get it to your subconscious mind. Once it gets there, then you are in trouble. Why? Because the mind is the center of thought and it holds the key to life. Now, when I use the word mind, another statement to write down, as a man thinketh, so is he. We all know that. But please quote it properly. As a man thinketh where? In his heart. There are two thinkings. There's a think and there's a heart think. Now, the word heart here is a Hebrew word referring to the subconscious mind. That's the one below. Solomon says, you are whatever is in your subconscious mind. Your subconscious mind is your heart. Your subconscious mind is your heart. Your subconscious mind is your heart. Whoever controls your heart controls your life. Whoever can get enough information into your subconscious mind will control you. Because as a man thinketh in his heart, that's the man. So if you want to control the man, all you've got to do is control his heart. And how do you control his heart? First, you work on the conscious mind first, and you keep repeating, and repeating until the conscious mind deposits it in the heart. And now you're in trouble. That is why some of you are having problems with battles of things you're trying to change and you can't change them. Old habits that you were keeping for the last 20 years, and now you want to change, and it's tough to change. Young people, that is why God tells you to stay away from evil things. If you keep watching pornography, you keep reading dirty books, you keep listening to bad stories or dirty jokes, and if you keep listening, now the first time you see it, it doesn't bother you. But if you keep seeing it, it becomes downloaded. Now, once something is downloaded on your hard drive, what happens? Even when you are not conscious of it, it is still running. And all you got to do is press the right button, and you see all the pictures in color. That's why the Bible says, take heed what you hear. Why? If you don't control what comes into your conscious mind, it'll soon become a part of your subconscious mind, and it's in your heart. And the Bible says, out of the heart, what? The mouth really speaks. It's out of the heart comes what? The issues of life. And Jesus said, for whence comes murders and lust and adultery? He says, they are coming from the heart. Everybody say the mind. Write this down, please. The mind is defined as the heart. It determines the future and destiny of a man.
Why did you give up on your dream? Why did you settle? Why? Why did you let that dream go? The dream that meant so much to you. Why did you let it go? Was it because you listened to those around you? Those who didn't reach their own dream? Did you listen to them when they imposed their limits on you? Extraordinary. Oh, when we put our minds to it, we can do extraordinary things. The human mind has a mindset that once it gets focused on the goal and buckles down and realizes what it wants to do, human beings can do extraordinary things.
But there are a lot of people who would have listened to that because they've already said no to themselves. See, it's time now. If you want to make this your decade, you've got to start saying yes to your life, yes to your potential. Don't worry about your circumstances. Don't worry about your age.
And so if you want to change anything about your life, stop sitting around and start pushing yourself.
You have got to make a declaration that this is what you stand for. You're standing up for your dreams. You're standing up for peace of mind. You're standing up for health. You want it. And you're going to go all out to have it.
Think like a champion. Speak like a champion. And then walk it out. Grind 120 all day, every day. Stop making excuses.
Let that obsession, let that thing that you love completely consume you. And in that, your only chance to really become great lies. As Franz Kafka said, don't bend, don't water down, don't try to make it logical. Rather, follow your most intense obsessions mercilessly.
That is the source of confidence. It's the willingness to try. It doesn't start with belief. It starts with the push. So do yourself a freaking favor. and stop thinking about all this stuff and push yourself. Do something.
Many of us are making an in-life settlement. We're settling for less than what we actually deserve. We don't feel good about it, but we make it work in our minds. We'll come up with some kind of excuse to make it all right.
We make excuses. You can't make excuses and be successful at the same time.
If you believe it yourself, you see an excuse as a way that you handicap yourself. Don't handicap yourself because you've been trained and you've been allowed to make excuses to justify everything.
Time is free, but it's priceless. You can't own it, but you can use it. You can't keep it, but you can spend it. Once you've lost it, you can never get it back. It's all about work ethic. It's all about what you choose to do in life. What is important to you? What is that goal that you're going to identify and go after?
Something you want to do. Because you don't know how to do it doesn't mean that you can't learn. I like something that I heard. You don't have to be great to get started, but you have to get started to be great. Repeat after me, please. Lead and grow your wings on the way down.
Once you have that faith, once you know that simply being a human being puts you in this rare category of creature that can get better through pressure, through pain, through difficulty, through failure, those are the things that are going to be the building blocks of your success. But in order to begin on that road, in order to have your first glorious failure, you must first take that first step. So please, don't waste your time being motivated or inspired. Spend every second of your time moving forward. That's how you're going to get where you want to go.
Your dream is only a dream until it has a plan. You can dream of the kind of life you want. You can dream of the kind of change you want. You can dream of the kind of future you want, but until you wake up and begin to plan to get there, it will only be a dream.
What dream or vision do you want to turn into reality?
So look at your life and decide what it is that you want to do that will give your life a sense of worth. And the question is, if you died today, what dreams, what ideas, what voice will die with you? The wealthiest place on the planet, it's not in the Far East where there's oil in the ground. It's not in South Africa where there are diamond mines. He said the wealthiest place on the planet is the cemetery. Because there you'll find greatness that we've never seen. There you'll find talent and genius and potential never actualized.
Every single day you are living your life as a reaction, a living, breathing, walking, moving reaction to other people's actions. Answer the question. Really think about it before you answer. Are you living your everyday life as a reaction to somebody else's actions?
Start taking control of yourself. Organize your local landscape. Schedule your time. See if you can stop saying things you know to be lies.
You will always have a million excuses not to do it, not to feel like it, not to believe in yourself. They're all that you are not the kind of person that sits around and feels unworthy, that you're not a victim that sits by and gets sucked into other people's stuff, that you're not that kind of person. So it won't make sense to believe it anymore, but it starts with action.
You will realize that the only thing that matters is action, and you will take that action. And it's in that action that your potential greatness waits. And as Martin Luther King said, take the first step in faith. You don't have to see the whole staircase. Just take the first step.
The person who risks nothing, does nothing, has nothing, is nothing. Chained by their certitudes, they are a slave. They have forfeited their freedom. Only a person who risks is free.
When I was 17, I read a quote that went something like, "If you live each day as if it was your last, someday you'll most certainly be right." It made an impression on me, and since then, for the past 33 years, I've looked in the mirror every morning and asked myself, if today were the last day of my life, would I want to do what I am about to do today?
And ladies and gentlemen, I started working on my dream. And most people don't work on their dreams. Why? For many years I didn't. One is because of fear. The fear of failure. What if things don't work out? And the fear of success. What if they do and I can't handle it? The other thing is that most people, ladies and gentlemen, they get comfortable. They stop growing, they stop working on themselves, and they end up becoming very cynical about life, and they throw in the towel on themselves and on their dreams.
You've got to be willing to risk. If you're not willing to risk, you can't grow in life.
Your time is limited, so don't waste it living someone else's life. Don't be trapped by dogma, which is living with the results of other people's thinking. Don't let the noise of others' opinions drown out your own inner voice. And most important, have the courage to follow your heart and intuition. They somehow already know what you truly want to become.
I can create whatever I want to create. I feel very strongly that we are who we choose to be. You need to look at yourself in the mirror and say, you owe you an explanation. Why are you only giving 50%? What's wrong with you? You need to put yourself on punishment. You need to tell you that you owe you something. You are the reason you look the way you look. You are the reason why your surroundings are so dysfunctional and negative. It's a choice. Stop being a lazy person that's full of excuses, sitting around on the pity potty, coming up with every excuse in the world as to why you ain't winning. You are the reason you're not winning.
How do you overcome the suffering of life? How do you overcome the suffering of life? Be a better person. That's how you do it. Well, that's hard. It takes responsibility. And I think, if you said to someone, you want to have a meaningful life? Everything you do matters. That's the definition of a meaningful life. But everything you do matters. You're going to have to carry that with you.
Do you realize that every day you thought you wasn't going to make it? Do you remember them days where you thought it was absolutely unbearable and you thought you wasn't going to endure that one? I'm telling you, do me a favor, just don't let it break you. If you get past it, on the other side of it, it's going to be phenomenal. The ultimate resources are emotional states. If you're creative enough, can you find the answer, yes or no? If you're determined enough, can you find the breakthrough, yes or no? If you're passionate, loving enough, can you get someone to help you, yes or no? If there's no way that you're committed, can you find the money, even if you don't have it, yes or no? So I said creativity, decisiveness, passion, honesty, sincerity, love. These are the ultimate human resources. And when you engage these resources, you can get any other resource on earth.
So if you don't put the work in today, if you don't do the unending, back
back-breaking work of developing yourself into something greater, the world is going to pass you by. The people that are going to own it are going to be the ones that did that work. And the one promise that I can make you right now is that somebody out there is out working. Somebody right now is doing the things that I'm saying. Somebody right now is doing the work of failing and getting up and getting better and pushing themselves and triggering that glorious adaptation response that makes humans the apex predator. Someone right now, they're putting in that work. And if you don't, the future is going to belong to them.
So when you stop outsourcing your happiness, your validation, your support, all of it, and you bring it back in, and you get responsible for it, when you're responsible, when you're the driver of your life, when you're not looking out to anybody else to fix it for you, you're the one that has to do the work. You're the one who has to push your own ass. You're the one who has to figure out what makes you happy. You're the one who has to figure out and become self-aware about what you need. And then you're the one that has to find whatever it is, the courage or being humble enough to ask for help.
And as Martin Luther King Jr. said, if you can't fly, then run. If you can't run, then walk. If you can't walk, then crawl. But whatever you do, you have to keep moving forward.
Anybody that you feel very strongly about, have some negative feelings about, let's look at some good reasons to forgive them. Number one, you must try and see what has happened or see things from that other person's point of view. Let's look at it from their point of view. That's one area. That's number one. Then number two, holding a grudge hurts you. It doesn't hurt them. So just for good health and peace of mind, let it go. Any feeling of resentment or anger or hatred is called to me the load of bitterness within. Every thought that we entertain produces a chemical in our brain that impacts the body's immune system. And besides, this person you're hating, they probably are not even aware of it. If someplace having a good time, don't even know you're really hating them. You've turned up the steam. Gone from dislike to hate, intense hate. And here you are killing yourself, making yourself vulnerable to various types of illnesses, putting yourself in bad health. And I say that person is not worth your sacrificing your health or 1 minute of peace of mind. 1 minute of anger robs you of 60 seconds of happiness. So decide it doesn't matter. Let it go. And experience the dignity and the magnanimous sense of character of being big enough to move on and get on with your life. Letting it go so you can grow. Next step. Lack of self-acceptance. How does it show up? How does it manifest itself? See, all of us have greatness within us. But when you don't come to grips with your greatness and you don't work to develop it, if you're not seeking it out, if you're not finding where it is, if you're not trying to locate it, if you're not experimenting with your life to try and find out what fits for you, I'm saying that you're positioning yourself to be a miserable person, an unfulfilled person. How else do we do it? Procrastination. We just put things off over and over and over again. Why? Because we haven't accepted it. We don't feel deserving. We don't feel that we're good enough. So we sabotage ourselves by not ever taking care of business. We get real busy doing a lot of things. Well, we don't have any time. Well, I'll never forget Og Mandino in the book called University of Success. He said many of us never ever discover our greatness because we become sidetracked by secondary activity. We start doing so many things, we just give our time away until we don't have any time for ourselves or any time to do the things that we want to do. And every time you put it off and move it back, oh, I'll do it one day. Oh, yeah, I'm going to get to it. I'm saying to you that one day you look around and there goes a year, there goes 2 years, there goes 3 years. So is there something you want to do? Do it now. Do it right now. Don't put it off. Start right now where you are. There will never be a perfect, ideal time. Whatever you have going for you right now, that's enough. Work on that idea. Work on it, work on it, work on it.
Decide, commit, act, succeed, repeat. The one thing that all the greats have in common is they sweat the small stuff. They pay very, very close attention to every detail. Michael used to sweat the details so much in his basketball game that carried on into his personal life. The suit had to match the car he was driving that particular day. But what those details allowed him to do was to put him in the zone to be the best basketball player on that given night. The dark side is something that's in everybody, but it's a situation that you have to control the dark side. If it controls you, that's when things start to go real, real bad. That's when you have a tendency to go to what I call the other side. But if you harness the fuel that's from that dark side, whether it's anger, whether it's fear, and turn that into positive fuel, it'll help you really succeed at whatever you're trying to do.
Empowerment is authority. It is a signed permission slip to actually seize the day. It's the process of getting stronger and more confident and more engaged, and to be empowered is to move through the world without any kind of fear or any kind of apology. And with these gifts comes an even deeper privilege, I believe, and that is the ability to take charge of your own life, to own yourself, and claim your rights. And here's what I know for sure, that to whom much is given, much is expected. And I have been given so much. I've earned it, I've been blessed with it, but I've been given a lot. And that's why I've chosen to use my life to lift other people up.
What do you really want? Do you know most people can't tell you what they really want? They don't know what they really want. They have never sat down and got super serious. What do you really want? Because when it starts to come to you, instantly we're thinking, how can we do it? And we forget it. I tell a story about sitting down with a couple, Pat and John. They worked for Sun Life Insurance Company. I was a big contract with them when I was doing work. And they came and asked me one day, said, could we meet you for lunch or something? I said, okay. So I was sitting talking to them. And I talked to them for quite a while. And they were telling me how rough things were and it was going in the wrong direction. So I let this know for a little while. I said, what do you really want? They had no idea what they wanted. But I kept pressing, what do you really want? Well, they were living in a basement apartment in somebody's house. They wanted to have their own house. I said, we'll go and buy one. They said, we can't buy a house, we don't have any money. I said, you don't need any money. They said, what do you mean we don't need any money? I said, you haven't decided to buy a house, what the hell do you need the money for? Now that is so light you could easily pass that over. They didn't need the money because they hadn't made a decision to buy the house. If you make the decision to do it, once you make the decision, you have already done it in your mind. You have flipped your mind onto a different frequency. You will then begin to attract to you whatever's required for the manifestation of what it is you've decided to do.
The opposite of perseverance is procrastination. Perseverance means you never quit. Procrastination usually means you never get started. Although I consider the inability to finish something to be a form of procrastination. Ask people why they procrastinate, and you'll often hear something like this: I'm a perfectionist. Everything has to be just right before I can get down to work. No distractions, not too much noise, no telephone calls interrupting me, and of course I have to be feeling well physically too. I can't work when I have a headache. The other end of procrastination, being unable to finish, also has a perfectionist explanation. I'm just never satisfied. I'm my own harshest critic. If all the I's aren't dotted and all the T's aren't crossed, I just can't consider that I'm done. That's just the way I am, and I'll probably never change.
Excuses sound best to the people that's making them up. You got every excuse in the world. That's why you're dangled. That's why ain't nothing changed and nothing will change. We are being raised in a generation of people that come up with every excuse in the book as to why they are not winning. You have that as a choice. You actually do. You don't wake up in the morning and negativity, dysfunction, problems, and issues just randomly pop up. These are the people that you have decided to include in your life. So the outcome of your day, your hour, your minute, your week, your month, and your year is always draining, always dysfunctional, and always crazy. Because these are the type of people you decided to include in your day-to-day life. And there's some of you know what you want, but you are not personally willing to do the work it takes to get it. What you're trying to do is do what you've done on this level and get the next level. You're like, I'm getting up every day, I'm lifting weights, I'm eating right, and I'm not getting the opportunity. It might require getting up and working out 3.5. It might require you saying no to your friends. It might require you changing your diet. It might require you moving to another city. Whatever it takes, you gotta be willing to do it, and you keep saying you're not there because of something else, because it's easier to blame somebody else. And there are those of you were this close, but you compromised. You let your feelings get the best of you. And you let a little pain stop you from your dream. Girl, you was there. You was running your business. You was there. I didn't quit because people didn't understand. I worked harder when people didn't support me. You better grind, because if you don't, you'll be stuck at that adversity for the rest of your life. You grown. You got ideas. You got talent. You got gifts. Stop shrinking down. Stop minimizing yourself. Take the risk on you. Take the risk on you. You own you. No more excuses. No more, I'll start tomorrow. No more, just this once. No more accepting the shortfalls of my own will. No more taking the easy road. No more waiting for the perfect moment. No more indecision and no more lies. No more weakness. Now is the time for strength. And through strength and through will and through unwavering discipline, I will become who I want to be.
You can literally create your own economy. Now, I'm going to tell you, you do not have to know how it's going to happen. You only have to know it's going to happen. You want to stop and think what you want and take the lid off. Take the lid off your mind. You can have anything you want. And I'm going to tell you something else. You don't even have to believe it. You can say, this is a crock. If you keep doing what I tell you, you're going to start to believe it. I'll explain something now and I'll explain it later, and you may see it different a little later. Our belief system is based upon our evaluation of something. And frequently, if we reevaluate a situation, our belief about it will change. Now, I've been studying the Bible. I'd studied various religions. There's only a half a dozen, so it's not too difficult. I had studied all kinds of books on personal development that you could find. And every one of them kept saying, you've got to believe. And I'm thinking, how do you believe? Somebody says, you've got to believe. Well, how do you believe? That's a pretty good question, isn't it? How do you believe? Most people can't answer that. But they know if you don't believe it ain't going to happen. You got to believe it. And if you don't, you show it in everything you do. You got to believe it. I was trying to figure this out 9.5 years. I was in a coffee shop with a mentor, Leland Val Van de Waal. And he said that, just in conversation. Our belief system is based upon our evaluation of something. And frequently, if we reevaluate a situation, our belief about it will change. I said, what'd you just say? He said, what do you mean? I said, about belief. He said, our belief system is based upon our evaluation of something. And frequently when we reevaluate the situation, our belief of will change. And all of a sudden I knew why I had changed.
Looking at some of the things that keep us from approving ourselves, that we've all done some things that we don't feel good about. Things that if we had to do those things over again, we would not do those things, or we would do things differently. So part of what we must do in order to begin to move into your greatness, you got to remove a major energy block. And that is dealing with the issue of forgiveness. People that have hurt you, someone who's done you wrong. Make a list, and things that you have done that you feel bad about, that you regret. Make a list. You know, maybe a time when you weren't a good father or a good mother or a good brother or sister, or you were a bad child, or you didn't do a good job, or you lied, or you were dishonest, or you stole. No one knows this but you, or something you feel good about, so you know there's a real dog in me to do that. Something you just really regret. So we make a list of all those things. All of us have some of that. Somebody said there is some good in the worst of us and some bad in the best of us. So none of us escape. Now here's something I want you to do. I want you to become involved in an active process to get some clutter out of your life. So if there's any area in your life that you need to clean up, start working on it. I'm going home tonight to clean my closets. Any of you got any cluttered closets? Oh, raise your hand, please. Good. Let's go home. Let that be our task this week. See, the first law of the universe is order. Go home and clean the closet out. Get the clutter out. Start letting some of this junk go to make some room for something else. Do that with people. There's some people who's cluttering up your life. They serve no purpose whatsoever. They're just holding and occupying a space that somebody useful, positive, nurturing, and contributing could be holding that space. You don't even have time to look to see what else is out there because you all have all of these people surrounding you that's not enabling you to grow. So look at what is it I need to get out of my life. Just start cleaning this stuff out. Getting the drawers together, your dresser drawer, just getting stuff together. Just get them together. Maybe your car, I got to clean my car too. Got a lot of stuff in there. Live in my car. You know, can't put anything in my trunk. I got all kind of little things back there. Two of my children back there in the trunk, you know. Everything, stuff everywhere. So I say, hey, let me just get this together. See, whatever you have in your environment is a reflection of your consciousness. So you got all that chaos there. That represents some disorganized, cluttered section of your mind. So let's get all that out of there, all right? Work to get that out, clean that up.
Relentless is more than just a mindset. It's a skill set, it's a mindset, it's a way to kick ass. We talk about kicking ass and taking names. Well, when you're relentless, you've kicked so much ass, you can't remember all the names because it becomes irrelevant. The name that they remember is your name. That's what relentless is being about. It's not about others, it's about yourself. It's about taking yourself to a level that only few people can achieve. The mindset is completely different. It's learning to step on their throat. It's about killing the competition. Your fiercest competitors are cutthroat individuals. All they want to do is win, and they want to win over and over again. It's not just a one-time thing. Success is repeated many, many times. You can have a skill set to do a lot of things. Okay, you can train, you can read a manual, you can do all these different things, but a skill set only works if you have that mindset.
One question that I get asked all the time, how was I able to stay positive and motivated in what was certainly the worst time of my life? I lost my money, I lost my freedom, I lost my children for a time, my wife bottomed out, right? And I said, I think about it, I said, here's the secret. When I was in jail, in those moments, and the worst moments of all were at nighttime, when you're in your bunk and people were sleeping, you're alone with your thoughts and you could just really get negative. And the answer was that in bed, when I was alone with my thoughts, I would close my eyes and I would visualize the faces of my two children. And I closed my eyes, I'd see their faces, I knew I had let them down so badly, caused them so much pain, and I said, there's nothing I won't do. There's no length I won't go to prove these kids that their dad can do it right, that their dad's going to come back even better than before. And it was all about proving to my children that you could come back from failure, that you could make the world right, and I could be an example, make them proud of me. That was my why.
was all about my kids. And that's the secret. Your why. It's never about you.
You mean somebody wealthy? Their family at one point was not wealthy. And then the one shows up. The one. One person changes the family tree forever. In my family, I'm the one. And it wasn't because I wanted it or I hoped for it. I fought for it. I want to win. I want to fight for my family. I want my mom and dad proud of me. I want my kids proud of me. I want me proud of me. I want to look in the mirror and be happy with the man I look back at. That he gave it everything. That he went for it.
That is you. That is you. That no one can do it for you but you. And even though you face disappointments, even though you will experience some setbacks, it goes with the territory. You must understand that.
But here's the truth. Most people's dreams can be bought. With enough failure, with enough rejection, they will sell their dreams. They can't still fight. They can get a little bit, but when it gets a little too hot, they'll vote. So, buy the dream, you can have it. It's not worth it for me. And their will to win is viable. You can buy it. But if you decide my will cannot be bought, I don't care how long it takes, you can't buy this throughout. I'll keep fighting for my family. I'm the one. I'm going to change my family tree forever. That's the decision. Decide now. You're going to keep negotiating the price, or can you not be bought?
When people die, or people get sick, or something happens in your life, if all you're doing it for is a car and a house, that can stop you. But if you're doing it for your mom, for your siblings, for your family, for your community, nothing can stop you. You cannot be broken. When you have an intrinsic goal, when you're doing it because you value it, when you're doing it because you care, when you're doing it because it represents who you are, when it's internal, nothing can stop you. When you leave this room, you take care of doggone every single thing. I don't care where you come from. I don't care what your background is. Don't let nobody fool you. If you're willing to grind on Monday, if you're willing to grind on Tuesday, they can't stop you. I don't have to accept the life that was given to me. I can create my own reality.
This paradigm concept is pretty powerful. To be able to shape your future, you have to be willing and able to change the paradigm. Now you see, we're all able, but we're not all willing. We're not all willing to study the same thing over and over and over and over and over and over again. I mentioned about Phil Goldfine. He came to see me. He'd heard about me. He phoned and he wanted to come and see me. That was 20 years ago. Every time I'm doing a seminar, he's here. I tell him to take a book and study this book. He studies it. I was talking to him yesterday and I was telling him about this one piece of literature I'm reading. And I had it on my phone, so I sent it to him. I have no question in my mind, he will study that little piece of literature. He didn't quite know why I was telling him to do it, but he found out it worked, so he never stopped. He just kept doing it. That's the way it was with me. What you have to do is totally illogical. Logic stops most people. See, it was logic that stopped people trying to figure out how to fly. The Wright brothers were being totally illogical. You're going to find that logic stops most people. It's illogical to keep reading the same book over and over and over again relative to the way we've been trained. Well, if we've got it right, our results are always under construction. Always. We should forever be trying to improve. I don't care how good you get at it, you can get better. Better is a nice word. I love it. Doesn't matter how well you're doing, you can do better. Now, there's the question you gotta ask yourself. Are you ready? Am I really ready? You see, when Ray gave me that book, I was ready. Now, if you had asked me if I'm ready, I wouldn't have known. But I really wanted to change. I was so sick of living the way I was living. I wanted to change. I wanted to change all kinds of things.
As he told me, he said, you could change your environment. So I didn't consciously and deliberately change who I was mixing with, but I automatically did. I started to mix with a totally different group of people. We're attracted to people that are much like ourselves. And if we want to change, we've got to start surrounding ourselves with the different people. Charlie Tremendous Jones was a great speaker. Good man. God, I like that guy. He's gone now, but he said, he used to phone, "Tremendous Bob, how are you?" And he was a wild man when he's speaking. He said, we are the product of the books we read and the people we associate with. Simple rule, and he's right. Well, that's what you have to ask yourself, am I ready? You can't develop and manifest your greatness. You can't be a high achiever if you don't feel good. You don't take care of yourself. So I'm taking care of me. And then you know what? It takes the edge off your life. It helps you to manage things rather than allowing them to manage you. Gives you more personal power to deal with stuff. Take care of you. Now here's something else I suggest for you. Become aware of what your needs are and develop compassion toward yourself despite your human defects. Develop compassion for yourself despite your human defects. You will never be perfect. Hello? You will never be perfect. You're human. You've made a lot of mistakes. You've done a lot of dumb, stupid things. Guess what? You're not through yet. You're going to do some more. Hurry up and get it over with. It's all right. You got to learn to be gentle with yourself. Make it all right. What you don't know, the mistakes that you make. It's okay. Handle it. Learn from the experience. Decide that you are going to, whatever you become involved in, to be upfront, to be true to yourself. Are you getting what you need out of it? And be upfront with people and tell them what you need from them. Don't assume that they know. Don't say, I thought you knew. No, tell people up front, here's what I need from this in order for this to work for me. Be upfront with your stuff. Tell them up front so they're not surprised later on. So your feelings aren't hurt later on. See, if they tell you up front they can't do it, now you know you can keep on stepping. But tell people up front, here's what I want. In order for me to play this game with you, if we're going to dance, this is what I got to get out of it. See, if you don't take care of your needs, guess what? You will always have that nagging song in the back of your mind say, well, when do I get mine? When am I going to start enjoying this? Are we going to have a good time together? Do I get any oodles out of this at all? You're going to start asking that question. Everybody's happy having a good time, but you? They say, well, we thought you were happy. How could you think that? Well, you weren't saying anything. Well, I'm saying something now. Hope you got that. See, we're taught to be quiet and not speak up for ourselves, and not to be selfish. If you don't take care of you, who do you think's going to take care of you? Who's going to look out for you better than you will? No one. No one's going to do that. You got a business? No one's going to take care of your business better than you. Nobody. Nobody. Anything you want to do in life, you've got to take ownership of it and say, hey, I'm going to make this happen. Be willing to venture out and do something that you have fantasized about doing. And you know you probably won't be good at it, but do it anyhow. Case in point, I have always wanted to sing. I've always wanted to do that. I'm going to sing a song. If I don't do nothing but just a few lines, chances are, you know.
Life is not easy. It is not. Don't try to make it that way. Life's not fair. It never was. It isn't now, and it won't ever be. Do not fall into the trap, the entitlement trap, of feeling like you're a victim. You are not. Get over it. Get on it. Those things are more rewarding when you break a sweat to get them.
We overanalyze because we're unsure. Time costs lives. Growth only comes through pain. No pain, no gain. It's the same in life. Tough love gets the job done.
Now, why do you pursue things that scare you? Why seek the role that's hard?
Because it costs me something. Because it costs. It comes with a price. It's not really a risk unless you lose the fight. But when you do, you get stronger. You get more aware. You get more respectful of yourself and that which you fear.
It's all in the mind. Excuses sound best to the people that's making them up. You got every excuse in the world because you have convinced yourself that everything is wrong, everything is negative, and nothing will change. And guess what? It won't change. Change your mind, and it will change your life.
It's bloody hard to be a high-performance person. Being a high-performance person is a full-time job. I'm like this 24/7, 365, and I've been like this for the better part of 50 years. I'm always like this. I'm always pushing the edge of the envelope.
Within every uncertainty, there is hidden possibility. So I don't dread any challenge that lies ahead because I remember all the victories behind. And my confidence is not in my circumstance. The Spirit of God is my supply. I'm steady under pressure and I'm ready for whatever, because whatever comes my way today, the outcome is I overcome.
Most people procrastinate because they're unsure, so just do it. Efficiency, accountability. If you want $1 million, you'll make $1 million.
Service and the significance that you bring to your service is that which is lasting. Here's the key. Learn from every mistake. The real truth is that service and significance equals success.
If you want to find heaven, you must go through hell. If you want to find growth, you must first go through resistance. Go through pain. You have to go through hell to get the results. Go through hell to get to your heaven. I cannot grow without pain. I will not grow without pain. Pain is my friend. Pain is my gift from the gods of growth. Pain is my employee. I order him to give me more. He isn't working hard enough. He must give me more in order for me to grow.
See, sometimes we think the pain is what controls us. It's actually our subconscious mind. That if we ever tap into that, that's what dictates most of our lives. Because see, pain is tricky. Because if you don't control pain, it'll control you. Think about what we do the moment we feel that, right? It's back to the two sides of fate, the two sides of pain. See, at that point, I feel like a victim. When you fall down, what makes your mentality change? If there's a great situation or there's a bad situation, how do you dictate that based on the level of pain? Because I think that's where we're getting in trouble at. So when I started cycling, when I started going to see these doctors, I realized that I turned my greatest pain into my greatest achievement. Well, sometimes your greatest pain, it ain't even about you. It's about a greater purpose. I believe it. Once you become obsessed with something, obsessed, it's okay to be unbalanced for a while. It's okay. Don't be all this stuff people say, you gotta be balanced. Then you get balanced once you become great. And then you help other people become better from you being the best in the world. I'm trying to be the best I can to give you the best that I am. And it takes being fucking obsessed to where people think you're crazy. Become obsessed with being great. It changes everything.
that as you go through the challenges of life and you look at it and embrace whatever comes to you, don't run from it. Step toward it. Don't try and duck it like most people do. See, most people want it easy. See, easy come, easy what? Easy go.
How you gonna show power if you're not up under attack? How you gonna show resistance if something's not trying to pull you over? Resist. Stop being neutral and stop being indifferent. Resist. Take a stand and resist.
The last time I took an English class, my English teacher told me I was the weakest writer she ever met in her entire life. And the same year I took a speech class, and my speech teacher, he said, quote unquote, Miss Nichols, I recommend you never speak in public, that you get a desk job. It was demotivated people, sad people, hurt. Sad people make other people sad. Bottom line, don't take it personal, hurt people hurt. I had to literally be willing to not only relocate my mind, but relocate my body so I can relocate my finances. Relocate my possibility, relocate my son's future. I was very clear the future my son was going to have if I didn't do something. And I was not subscribing to that, not on my watch. So I was willing to be radical. See, most people want the convenience of transformation without the inconvenience. So if you want to have a conviction for something, you have to sign up to be inconvenienced. We're trying to find convictions and passion and breakthrough on the inside of our box. Well, when you realize that the box doesn't even exist, and so when you start thinking like that, all of a sudden, everything is possible. So I disrupt people when I say, you want to make me extraordinary, because it lets you off the hook. What if you do? What if the God that we call God, the divine, whatever your faith is, what if there's no partial? It's not going to give me a hookup and not give you one. Not going to give me an opportunity and not give you one. I'm just not going to stop because I believe all things are available to us. I'm just willing to go after them. Are you willing? And then that is so disruptive because then you got to make a decision. Because it's easier to live inside the parameters of, well, as a black woman, well, as born and raised in South Central, well, I'm dyslexic. I wrote 7 books. I'm dyslexic. I'm not perfect. What I do really well is I manage my imperfection well. And so we're all waiting for perfect. It's an illusion that will never come to you, and it's an excuse to never show up and play. Your story is not meant to be your fortress. Your story is meant to be your fuel.
This is quite a young audience, and I think the reality is the thing that I spend most of my time on is trying to get people to understand that patience is a very important variable of success, and more importantly, that I believe the far majority of people in this room do not have a great relationship with time. I am fascinated by people in this room who are stressed at the ages of 18 and 22 and 25 and 29, like they're running out of time. How many people, by show of hands, are under 30 years old? So for me, as you can imagine, when I see all those hands go up, you can put your hand down. Yeah, you're good. Okay, good. When I see all those hands go up, and I know in my mind, with the way that modern medicine and technology is going, that the far majority of this room is going to live for another 80 years, it really gets me excited/concerned when people want their business to be huge next year. The quicker you want it, the more vulnerable you are. The quicker you want it, the more vulnerable you are. And what has been very fascinating for me is, even though on YouTube and Instagram and maybe some of the places you guys see me, maybe my energy is high, maybe my style of communication is fast, but my business actions are extremely slow.
Everything in our life is controlled by 3 decisions. I think one of the most powerful things we can serve you is have you become clear of what the controlling force is that's controlling the quality of your life. And you and I both know it's not the amount of money in your pocket, it's not who you know, it's not even what you've been through. It's really the decisions you make moment to moment.
Do something different the next 90 days than you did the last 90 days, like picking up the books to read. Do something different, like the new health disciplines, relationship with your family, whatever it is, doesn't matter how small it is. If you'll start doing
different things with the same circumstances. Since we cannot change the circumstances, we can change ourselves. We can change what we do.
You gotta get a little bit more intense about your life, about your business. You gotta stop being so dadgum casual. You gotta get in the game. If you're gonna play the game, let's play to win it. Let's play to max it out. Let's play to 10x it. I want you shaking. I want you feeling it. I want your intensity level to go up. Because it's decisions we make that chase that best version of us every second, every day. That every day alters the direction, the course of our life.
Where your focus goes, your energy flows. I need us to look at all the possibilities, all of the potential, and I need us to go for it every single day.
Most people go through life never discovering what their talents are. Most people never develop their talents. They have skills and abilities, but if you don't nurture them, if you don't develop them, they will never serve you. Your gifts can take you many places if you develop your gifts. And you'll be surprised at the things that you're able to do. When you learn how to block things out, when you learn how to keep that eye single, learning how to concentrate, learning how to focus in, deciding that you're going to focus to develop your skills, you'll be surprised at the ideas that will come to you, of the people that you'll be able to attract, of the opportunities that you'll be able to see. You'll begin to see things that have been standing there looking you in the face saying, I can't believe this has been here all this time. But you can learn all the techniques in the world. If you don't believe in yourself, it won't happen for you.
Don't wish it was easier. Wish you were better. Don't wish for less problems. Wish for more skills. Start working on yourself, making these personal changes. If you'll start working harder on yourself than you do on your job. Work hard on yourself and develop the graces. All of the stuff necessary to become more valuable to the marketplace. I'm telling you, your whole life can explode into shape. Promotion, no problem. Money, no problem. Economics, no problem. Future, no problem. You just go to work on the right thing. Let the miracle of everything that's available work for you. And start working on the inside. Work on your philosophy. Work on your attitude. Work on your personality. Work on all of your abilities. And if you'll start making those personal changes, I'm telling you, everything will change for you.
This is a turning point. And when you say I'm going to change, just think of this. The change can be huge. Absolutely huge. And the change is permanent. You will never go back. You see, awareness is something you cannot lose. Most of us, when we're thinking of learning, we get hooked up on school stuff, and it's the intellect we're thinking of. Because that's what school focuses on, the intellect. If you get the degree, you've learned it. If you get this, you've learned it. Why are there so many people with degrees come right off their business card that don't know the war's over? They're losing. That's not in the intellect, it's in the awareness. Think of this. A person isn't earning $100,000 a year because they want $100,000 a year. They're earning $100,000 a year because they're not aware of how to earn $100,000 a month. When you help develop their awareness, it's something they won't lose. Like a baby is not aware of the difference between a woman and a man. Baby's not aware of the difference in a female and a male. That is something a baby has to become aware. They have to learn that. And when the baby develops the awareness, they never lose it. That'll help you understand the difference between awareness and intellect. When you become aware of how your paradigm is controlling you, and then how to change it, there's no end to where you can go or what you can do. None. Now, let's suppose that's the only thing you change as a result of this conference. You're going to change your perception of this business. You're going to change your perception of you in this business. You're never going to look at this company and your position in it the same way again. You're going to see this as a vehicle that will take you anywhere you want to go, and there's nothing can stop you.
Success is something you attract by the person you become. See, that phrase changed my life. Success is something you attract by the person you become. Success is not something you pursue. It's like chasing a butterfly, you can't quite catch it. Success is something you attract by becoming an attractive person.
The brain is basically designed to be customized in the early part of life, and then to implement those algorithms and that circuitry for the rest of its life. And so the brain can change in adulthood, and it can change provided that there's an emphasis on some perceptual event. So in other words, if you want to change your brain as an adult, let's say you want to be less anxious, you want to learn a new language, you want to be more functional in some way, presumably. The key thing is to bring focus to some particular perception of something that's happening during the learning process. And the reason for that is that there's a neurochemical system involving acetylcholine. And it comes from these two little nuclei down in the base of the brain called nucleus basalis. All day long, you're doing things in a reflexive way. But when you do something and you think about it very intensely, acetylcholine is released from basalis at the precise neurons that were involved in that behavior, and it marks those for change during sleep or during deep rest later. So for people that want to change their brain, the power of focus is really the entry point. And the ability to access deep rest and sleep. Because most people don't realize this, but neuroplasticity is triggered by intense focus. But neuroplasticity occurs during deep sleep and rest. One of the things that's really important also to think about how the brain works in terms of plasticity and all this stuff is what the brain really wants to do is also pass as much of what it does off to reflexive behavior as possible. So, so when we're talking about focus, I think it can get a little bit vague, but it might be useful to think about like what exactly is focus and what triggers plasticity. So the brain loves to be able to just do things, pick up coffee cups and drink and walk and talk and do things and not put much energy into it. When we decide to focus, what the brain really does is it switches on a set of circuits that involve the frontal cortex and nucleus basalis and some others, and it's trying to understand duration, how long something's going to last, path, what's going to happen, and outcome, what ultimately is going to happen. So duration, path, and outcome. You know, the events of early 2020 are a good example of this. One of the reasons why it's so exhausting to be alive in 2020 is because we are now having to pay attention to duration, path, and outcome. How long is this thing going to last? When are they going to open up all businesses? Did I touch that door handle? Does it matter? You know, who are the experts? Are there any experts? You know, there are a lot of questions, whereas normally we can just move through life without having to do all that analysis. So if it's a simple example like trying to learn a new language or a new motor skill or a new way of conceptualizing something, maybe somebody's in a therapeutic process and they're trying to work through a trauma or something like that, duration, path, and outcome is built into the networks of the brain. We can do that very easily, but it takes work. And it almost has a feeling of underlying agitation and frustration. And that's because the circuits that turn on before acetylcholine are of the stress system. So when you or I decide we're going to learn something and really dig in, norepinephrine, which is adrenaline, is secreted in the brainstem and in the body, and it brings about a state of alertness. Then our attention, which is mostly a diffuse light, is brought to a particular duration, path, and outcome analysis. This would be thinking about what somebody is saying. What are they really trying to say? A hard passage of reading, a hard, set of math problems, a challenging physical workout. When you do that, these two systems have to work very hard, and the adult brain doesn't really want to change the algorithms it learned in childhood. But if you do those two things, you have alertness and focus. The acetylcholine and the norepinephrine converge to mark those synapses for change. And so the way to think about neuroplasticity, if one wants to change their brain, is bring about the most intense concentration you can to something, and then later bring about the least amount of concentration to that thing.